What's up, guys? That Really Gross Guy here. We are back, and I think it's been long enough. New War is over, and I have quite a bit I would like to talk about, and a lot of that is speculation. A lot of that is, a little observation. Some things maybe, not everybody picked up on, so I wanted to go over those. And of course, I wanted to give a little bit of my opinion as well as where I think things might be going here in the future. Do forgive me if I do sound a little off. I have a bit of a cold, and I'm going to do my best to not cough all over the microphone and destroy audio. So, anyways, without further ado, let's jump on into things. Some of the biggest things I want to talk about for this video have to do with, number one, the difference between the location we are now and the location we were at the start of the quest. And what I mean by that is the idea that we seem to be in a different version of reality than where we were when the quest started, or where we've been playing Warframe up until this point. So that's, it's a whole lot of speculation and just predictions, I guess, just to go along with that theory alone. I definitely want to talk about the idea between, like, the sentient race or sentience becoming the most, dominant force in the galaxy, because, they invaded and they basically were successful. Not to mention the idea behind the Narmer and their whole startup with Ballas and all that. Lotus, of course, and the kind of revelations we went through with Lotus throughout the quest. And I guess there's little things in there, like our heroes that we saw previously. We had Call 175, we had Vico. Anyways, it's kind of an ongoing joke that we never figure out what his real name is. Vito? Anyways, and I suppose, a lot of these predictions come with, are we in a different reality? Will we ever return to our own reality? What's going on in the alternate version of our reality? And it's all sort of, I don't know, there's a lot of crazy stuff to be had. I talked previously about Ballas and maybe his conniving intentions. I thought that maybe Ballas sent the Stalker to Hunhow way back when Stalker originally first met Hunhow. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. I also think that maybe, because Stalker ultimately, his idea was the protection. He was a guardian for the Orokin, so maybe he was always in league with Ballas, and when he went to go see Hunhow, that was because Ballas was trying to get in with the sentients, because that's ultimately what happened. Is Ballas joined Era and was part of this giant new war. Maybe he was trying to forge an alliance with the sentients way back. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was like the start off of Ballas, allying himself with the sentients. It could have even happened way back with Margulis. I don't know. I don't know if that was that old, but anyways, he obviously betrayed the Orokin. Let's put it this way. In the reality we are in now, this is where things get a little bit crazy. He has fully betrayed Orokin ways and has allied himself with the sentients. This leads me to believe that he doesn't really believe in the Orokin and their ways anymore. I don't know. I found that a little hard to believe because of how stuck on his perfection and his ways were. However, now that we've kind of seen more of Ballas, I feel like maybe it wasn't really about the Orokin. It was all about his own pride and self-preservation and glory. because in the New War, he mentions how it wasn't good enough for everyone to bow down before him and like follow him based on lies. He almost wanted everyone to just worship him based on the fact that he's just the most glorious leader ever known. It's like he felt like the way they bowed down to him wasn't good enough. So that whole Narmer thing, like, he did it and he forced it upon everybody, but to him, they should have worshipped him without putting the mask on, if that makes any sense. But obviously, it was pretty much shown that there had been this alliance for a while now, that Ballas was not necessarily just a prisoner of the Sentients. So at least in the current reality we are in now, he basically became the ruler. He Era at one point asked Ballas for his command, that Ballas needed to tell Era what to do, because he was playing, he was second in command at that point. So that I found really surprising, and that makes me, I don't know, that was one thing that I didn't really like about the quest, was I felt like Era should have had way more power and control and way more influence in this quest, and he didn't. Now, with that being said, let's just say we return to our previous reality or whatever. That's the fact that we're in a different reality, I think, right now. Maybe things could be different. Maybe if we went back to where we were at the start of the quest in our own time or parallel, whatever the heck. This is confusing. But if we were back then, maybe Era would have stayed in command. I don't know. It seems like everything is being done exactly the way they're supposed to, because there's this theory of a prophecy that is being fulfilled, and we'll talk about that in a little bit in the video. But the idea is, it's like everything is going exactly the way it's been planned to go for who knows how long. But there's going to be little deviations, I think, between the different times, or not different times, the different, I guess, parallel dimensions. I'll talk about that here in just a second when it comes to the Narmer and the masks. So, but the idea is that maybe Ballas has more power in this parallel universe than maybe he did in the beginning of the quest in our previous universe. I don't know. But what I'm trying to get at is, if this dimension, because there's obviously big differences in these dimensions. It might not seem like it at first, but there are big differences in these two dimensions. First of all, the Drifter never got rescued. The Drifter is, well, at least originally, was still stuck on the Zariman. So that leads to potentially, this is where I feel like there's a little bit of plot hole type stuff. That means that did the Tenno never exist because no one was ever rescued on the Zariman? So that means that in this parallel dimension, Tenno were never a thing. Maybe the Warframes were still a thing, because what we know about Warframes is they are separate entities. But the idea that the Tenno never existed, so it makes me wonder, what is the role that Lotus played in this parallel universe? Because, I mean, Lotus went through the gate with us when we transferred to this other dimension. She got sucked through, and then we got sucked through directly afterwards. So we never bumped into a second Lotus. We did bump into a separate version of ourselves, it seems like, the Drifter. So maybe the other the Lotus in the other dimension doesn't exist, or she never I don't know. I find that hard to believe because we never saw Ballas and Era go through the portal as well, and the version of them that was on the other side of this universe or dimensional gateway were fully aware of the Tenno and Lotus, obviously Ballas, Lotus, love interest, all that stuff, and the Tenno. They knew what we were all about. So, anyways. That's where I feel like things are a little bit crazy. Part of me also feels like, and I couldn't tell this when I was playing the quest, is that after we met the Drifter and we chose whether we wanted to follow the Drifter or the Operator, we found a way back to our own time. And that's why Ballas and Era knew who we were. We transitioned back to our time. Everything was pretty much the same, where the war broke out and the Narmer were a thing, and then we fought them there because they knew who we were. But I don't think that's the case. I find it a little strange that things seemed like there were big differences, like the Drifter and no Tenno and no second version of the Lotus, and somehow Ballas and Era knew exactly who we were and what we were there for. And anyways, could be some sort of prophecy, or they were aware because of outside forces such as the man on the wall. We'll get to that in a moment, but it's very strange. Seems like there are plot holes, or at least a whole lot that hasn't been explained, or like I said, it makes me even wonder if we've traveled back and forth to our own time without the quest actually visually showing us that, but I don't believe that to be true. I just find that strange. Anyways, so when it comes to DViri and how this plays into DViri, some people are like, it has nothing to do with DViri. DViri's not here yet. I think there is breadcrumbs, or at least a lot of information leading to the existence of DViri. First of all, the Drifter makes references to DViri twice. I don't remember exactly when the first one was, but I do remember when we were in the Railjack flying at the very end. If you chose the Drifter and you're flying to the final confrontation, we'll just say, that he mentioned he wished he had pretty much stayed in DViri. So chaotic that he should have stayed in DViri. So that's a full-on reference to an existence, a separate existence almost, to whatever world we are in, whatever universe we are in. I think DViri, personally, what I think is DViri is another version of our reality that's basically desolate. It's been either destroyed, or the void has somehow consumed it, or something along those lines. Or it's a different version of our reality that skewed so far from the reality we've come to know thus far. It's skewed so far away from that reality that it's just unrecognizable completely. Planets different, maybe are gone. I don't know. But he references DViri. Not to mention, when we are on the Zariman and we come in contact with the Drifter, just before that, hanging in like the atrium where the big statue was a DViri mask hanging from a tree. I noticed this and I was like, in the quest, I was like, holy crap, this is a big deal. So I'm curious if that mask is, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when I explain the prophecy thing, that mask is a different version from a different reality or whatever of the Narmer mask that we have come to know thus far. The idea that the Drifter is another version of us, which I'm assuming is the Drifter is the same character that is in the trailer for the DViri paradox. I'm under the assumption that because those two are identical, and the masks potentially are identical in two different universes, that I guess kind of hard to explain. That at least there is parallels going on in both universes that are a little different but the same. I'm wondering when it comes to the prophecy, trying to get this to a way where I'm not over describing something before I get to kind of the background theory. The theory when it comes to the prophecy is that when we saw the man on the wall towards the end, the giant wall thing that popped up, which honestly I thought was kind of corny. I thought it was kind of, I don't know, an odd wall thing. When that showed up, he recited several different words which go back to the requiems that we've seen in the game thus far. I won't go over it in too much detail. There's several people that have done that at this point, what each requiem means and what the actual well, people don't know if it's a prophecy, but it sounds like a prophecy. There's like several words that relate to certain things such as time and space and whatever. It boils down to this, what seems like a prophecy, and that prophecy seems like it's being fulfilled. It kind of is reminiscent of everything that's happened up to this point. Ballas and his, well, I think it starts with the Tenno and the creation of the Tenno and Ballas and the traitorousness and the changing of powers in the universe and like a great deception, which I think is partially Ballas as well. Something along those lines. Or it could be, I guess, Lotus. And then ultimately, like the man on the wall, chaos, things like that. But this wall shows up, and the wall people are alluding to is Lok, and Lok is the alternate word or the Entrati or whatever for chaos. Is it chaos? Lok, chaos? Anyways. And then the man on the wall, this entity, is kind of laughing, kind of like he alludes to the fact that everything is going exactly the way it's supposed to, and that would make sense if these words are the prophecy. He thinks it's great. He's like, this is hilarious because everything is going exactly the way it needs to go for whatever plans he has. And I'm assuming those plans they're either everything that happened which created the DViri, this desolate dimension that is just absolute, I don't know, just emptiness or something like that. It either, this is where my speculation comes in, it's either the cause of that dimension is this prophecy being fulfilled, or I think that everything is running in parallel to each other, where the operator and the drifter between universes, the DViri mask and the Narmer mask across universes, and then just the universe itself, the universe we've known up to this point with the conflict between the Grineer, the Corpus, the infestation, the absence of the Orokin for the longest time, and the sentient threat. Then breaching across into this other universe where the sentients are, have taken over, the Ballas is in control, the Narmer is a thing, people have masks all over the universe controlling them. And then maybe parallel to all of that is the DViri paradox, where there's no point in masks, everyone's dead. The operator maybe still exists, we don't know, but it looks like chaos. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it, because there's very little information about it other than we saw an operator, we saw what seemed to be an alternate version of that operator putting a gun, stashing a gun away, and then this creature, horse, potentially Dax soldier converted, whatever, on a horse. Anyways, I don't know. But that's all speculation. There's a whole lot to be uncovered with all of that. My real question is where a lot of the speculation kind of comes to a halt is knowing if, number one, if we are still in that alternate universe, which I'm pretty sure we still are in that alternate universe, if we can even go back to our previous universe, and I guess the other thing is, can we breach across to the DViri paradox, or the, whatever? Can we go into, cross over again to another universe such as the DViri paradox? I'm sure it's technically possible, but by what means? Are the sentients the only one that are able to manipulate that type of technology? Because we got to this parallel universe in the sentient ship. It was created, seemed like, right by us in that platform when we encountered the Lotus and Teshin and potentially died. We don't, he seemed like he got messed up, but did he die? I don't know. Seemed like they just breezed past that, which I find kind of crazy. So, anyways, feel like that's a big deal. I feel like a lot of the future of Warframe is going to rely on, number one, can Lotus, Nata, Margulis, whatever, maintain her current physical form, I guess? What I mean by that is she going to continue to struggle and fight herself, transition to and from Nata and Margulis and Lotus over and over again, like back and forth and cause conflict, or what? The fact that she is now customizable makes me believe that she is going to play a much bigger role, if that's even possible, much bigger role in the story than she did before. She's going to have to be visible more often. I don't think they gave us the ability to customize her just for the sake of that tiny little box that she talks to us in. I don't think that's it. I think there's going to be a much bigger dynamic to that for sure. So I'm wondering what kind of struggle Lotus is going to have in the future. Very curious how much parallel information has already been shown to us when it comes to the DViri paradox, the current universe we're in, and the previous one. How that all relates. And I suppose, yeah, I don't know. I find it just crazy. Number one, is Teshin. Are we ever going to see Teshin again? What about our three heroes? Well, our three heroes, one of them was Teshin. The other one seemed to basically throw their life away for the sake of fighting the sentients. The other one tried to, but got stopped by Era. And I wonder if they maybe just took him up to the ship and he was one of those Grineer that was stuck up in the ship for a little while. I don't know. Anyways, that's all technically in the first universe we were in, so we have no idea. Things could have completely happened differently in that universe. We weren't there. We're no longer there, so we didn't stop Ballas and Era, so I don't know. The one last thing I want to kind of point out is, and I was immediately... originally I was very disappointed in the idea of where this unfolded, is Era and his change of heart. When we arrived at the ship, we were like, Era just popped up and was like, hey, I'm sorry I messed up. Let me help you. I'm like, oh, okay, sure, yeah, let's go fight Ballas. And he helps us get to Ballas. Well, actually, he helps us get a majority of the way through the ship. However, just maybe this was a coincidence. However, he brought us right to the room where the Archon was in, and then he got crushed underneath some rubble. Okay, maybe he did. Maybe he did. Maybe he got crushed. Maybe he was being honest. He was trying to be good. Whatever. Maybe that happened. But he brought us right to the room where the Archon was. Part of me is a little skeptical as to whether he actually had a change of heart or not. Maybe he wanted us to go fight the Archon, bring the crystal to Ballas so he could take it, just like he did. I don't know. But then again, you'd think he would have just done that before, because he's a sentient, the Archon is a sentient, and Ballas controls all the things, so I don't know. But the other idea is, for the most part, we understand that sentience can be reborn or something along those lines, because their little crystal orb, whatever thing, it seems as though that is able to be harvested, I guess, and create maybe the entity all over again. Maybe things are a little different for like the upper echelons of the sentience, like Lotus and Lotus's mother, because as far as we can tell, it seems like they're trying to bring back Lotus's mother, which is a gigantic destroyer of worlds that eats planets. Maybe it just takes a lot more to heal her, but anyways, the idea is that they needed the Unum, which I'm assuming was to restore Mother. Maybe it's way more complicated to recreate a sentient. We did see little sentients being created out of this black ooze, so maybe it's way more complicated, like I said, for the family, we'll say. The mother, father, Lotus, Era, whatever. Maybe more complicated, but the idea is Era maybe led us right to the Archon because he was still doing Ballas's command. Maybe he is just going to get reborn next time, whatever. Maybe in the other dimension, because I'm sure this is the case, he's fine, and Ballas is fine, and they're ruling over that dimension. Whatever. Craziness, whole lot of speculation. I don't know. But I guess, yeah, it's kind of crazy. And I guess the last thing we'll say is, with all of these parallels, I probably should have mentioned this before, with all of these parallel dimension things going on, it sounds like there's going to be a copy. This is weird, because Warframe universe is kind of weird about how Tenno operate. Like, are there actually thousands of Tenno? Or are we the hero? Are we the one Tenno hero, the only one? Or are we like the one self-aware Tenno, and the other ones are just like kind of going about their business, playing with their Warframes, and we just happen to team up with them? How does that work? But the idea is, potentially with multiple dimensions, there are multiple Tenno. There are multiple versions of the same Tenno. We've obviously seen ours in the Drifter, but are there more beyond that? Are there other Drifters that are the equivalent of the other Tenno? Other operator Tenno in other dimensions? DViri, whatever, I don't know. There's so much that is, number one, left unanswered for good reason. Otherwise, if everything was answered, Warframe would be done. No more game. But anyway, the other thing is, obviously, it's probably not even written yet. The dev team doesn't even know all of the answers. And when it comes to that, it's like, I don't know. It's the fact that everything is possible now that there are multiple universes. We can't really have definitive answers for pretty much any of these questions at the moment. So, I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' theories about the prophecy, about the parallel universes, about, especially, I find this really interesting, is based on the prophecy and it potentially being fulfilled in multiple universes at the same time, and the man on the wall is getting exactly what he wants. What are the relations with, like, the DViri mask versus the Narmer mask? What do you think? Are there any relations between those? The idea that our operator lost our powers when Lotus disappeared. That's pretty interesting. We got him back after we kind of had a confrontation with Lotus. It seemed like we got our powers from the man on the wall, so how does that all relate? It's very interesting, but of course, it's completely left up to speculation right now. We have no real answers, so I don't know. I'm super intrigued. I'm very excited for where things are going, but anyways, that's going to be it for me, guys. Sorry this was very, very, very long, but gosh, there was so much to talk about, and I have notes upon notes and all sorts of speculation and a lot of things that I didn't even think of, so I would love to hear what you guys think. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'd love to see you guys again in the next episode. Blah!